sick.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I won't make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine low to the ground, extra big oil pan that'll cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when you run so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? I mean, come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. Sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it?
what we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own. Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from in the world, and welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. We're here for round 2 of season 3 of this fantastic championship, and we're at the Yeongam circuit in South Korea. We have already had the first round of the championship, won by the Pacific Grand Prix of Brendan Hartley. He took the 25 points there, ahead of Takuma Sato in the Dome and Lucas Di Grassi in the Zack Speed. It was a fantastic race to kick off the season, and we are set for another thriller here in South Korea. Looking through the rest of the driver standings so far in Season 1 after the first round, Kimi Sato 4th in the Dome, putting 2 of the Japanese cars into the top 4 in the championship. Tatiana Calderon had a fantastic maiden outing in the Grand Prix World Series and is 5th in the championship after scoring 10 points last time out. Sam Bird 6th ahead of Jerome D'Ambrosio, Luciano Becchetta, Teo Porcher and Mike Conway. That is your top 10 in the championship after the Sepang Grand Prix. And in the team standings, Dome lead the way after both of their drivers finished in the top 4. 30 points to their name ahead of Pacific Grand Prix, Brendan Hartley, the only point scorer for them in that race. And then Zack Speed 3rd with 25 ahead of Mastercard Lola, Force India, Carlin, Dams Viant, Real, Ram Racing and LaRousse, the final 2, scoring 0 points but 9th and 10th on countback by virtue of their results at the Sepang Grand Prix. And looking ahead to today's race, we have one driver change. Marcus Armstrong banned from today's race after taking out the Pacific Grand Prix of Sergio Sette Camara in the last race. He has been replaced by the team's reserve driver Jaime Alguersuari, who will be looking to make an immediate impact upon this championship. How will he fare in his first outing in the Grand Prix World Series? It'll be fascinating to see how he gets on. Can he impress team principal Gemma Dixon and potentially secure a full-time seat for the rest of the championship? But before we go racing, we have to show you the grid order, and it's a fascinating grid we have here for you in the first League 2 race here today. Tatiana Calderon has surprised the opposition by taking not only her maiden pole position in this championship, but the first ever pole position for a female driver in the Grand Prix World Series. Absolutely stellar job by her in the qualifying session to beat out Marcus Ericsson in the Fometal by less than a tenth of a second. Ericsson just missing out on 2 pole positions in a row there. Brendan Hartley, our winner at the last race in Sepang, will line up 3rd, looking to make it 2 from 2, ahead of Kimi Sato in the Dome in 4th. Jaime Alguersuari on his debut, he will go from 5th place alongside Pascal Wehrlein. Alexander Rossi and Christian Lundgaard are on row 4, before the 2 Zack Speeds of Sam Bird and Lucas Di Grassi. They will be looking to score some huge points here today. Jack Aitken in the Force India, ahead of Sergio Sette Camara in the Pacific Grand Prix even. 11th and 12th. Sebastian Ogier in a Mastercard Lola, the second of the 2 cars run by Marcus Johansson. He'll be 13th on the grid, ahead of Luciano Becchetta. Jake Dennis and Mike Conway are 15th and 16th, ahead of Oliver Turvey. And Takuma Sato not doing a great job in qualifying this time out. He will be looking to move forward as the race progresses. Alan McNish and Jerome D'Ambrosio are 19th and 20th. And then at the back, Andre Lotterer, Sebastian Loeb, Teo Porcher, Fabio Lima, Callum Ilott and Valentino Rossi bring up the rear again. He'll be looking to get a bit more speed out of his Dams Viant during the race. Well, we won't keep you waiting any longer for the first race of the day. Let's head down to Tom Cairns in a commentary box to take you through the action.
I mean, who would have thought of this? Tatiana Calderon putting the MasterCard Lola on pole position, becoming the first female driver to do so in the Grand Prix World Series. Can she convert that into victory? We've got the first light ready, then 2, then 3, then 4. The 5th light is on. It's lights out and away they go. Tatiana Calderon gets off to a brilliant start ahead of Marcus Ericsson, who's looking to give chase in 2nd position. And then they look into turn 1. Calderon stays in the lead as they go through the tight left-hander of this Yeongam International Circuit. So it's Calderon who takes the lead at the start. And we've got Oliver Turvey trying to pick his way through the field at the back. No contact made by the looks of it between the whole field as they look to settle onto the back straight. Coming out of turn 2 and they'll head into turn 3 shortly. There's Calderon already building up quite a lead already over the others. And Brendan Hartley's the next driver behind in 2nd position. The race winner last time out in Sepang for the Pacific team. So Calderon getting off to the brilliant start in the MasterCard Lola, which will give Marcus Johansson a good seal of approval. And now they continue on round this Yeongam International Circuit. Calderon leads. She's got a lead of over 2 seconds over the New Zealander Brendan Hartley. Marcus Ericsson is third. Lucas Di Grassi is 4th. Then we've got Jaime Alguersuari in 5th position, substituting for Marcus Armstrong for the Cologne team. Then it's Christian Lundgaard 6th. Camillo Sarto 7th. Then it's Sergio Sette in 8th. Pascal Wehrlein is 9th. And Alexander Rossi for LaRousse in 10th place. So looking to see who got off from where. Well, I can tell you that Hartley's moved up from 3rd to 2nd. Camille Sarto's had a poor start. He started 4th on the grid and is now in 7th place. And looking to see who's also had a bad start. Alexander Rossi's lost 3 positions from his starting position. So he's down from 7th to 10th. And Calderon completes the first lap in the race lead. Can she keep it by the end of the race? We've seen Camille Sarto making a move on Christian Lundgaard going into turn 1. And it looks like, ooh, that was quite a change of manoeuvre there from Christian Lundgaard defending the position, but Camille Sarto was able to slam on the brakes in time and avoid contact. And there's a little bit of a skirmish going on behind as Théo Pourchaire was trying to make a move on someone. And it looks like one of the Reals, he tried to make a move. I wonder if that was Mike Conway. No, it's not Mike Conway, it's Oliver Turvey, because Conway's further up ahead. So going into turn 1. Oh, he actually got hit by the Andrea Moda. Couldn't tell for certain who exactly that was. Behind Pourchaire, that would be Andre Lotterer. So Lotterer, who was at the top end of the field before he retired at the last round in Sepang. He's left himself with a lot to do after his lacklustre qualifying here in Yeongam. And now we ride on board with Marcus Ericsson, Indy 500 winner, of course, in 2022. The former Caterham and Sauber driver when he raced in Formula 1. Didn't really come alive that much, in all honesty. He was seemingly a journeyman at best whilst he was at Sauber, most particularly. There to pay the bills and make sure that Sauber were able to stay on the grid in Formula 1 in the long term, which they are nowadays with the pending takeover of Audi. Well, the takeover of Audi in 2026 coming in, as Alfa Romeo will be parting ways with Sauber at the end of 2023. And now we go back to Callum Ilott, who's running in 25th position in the LaRousse. And I have to say the order is somewhat different to what we saw in the last race in Sepang, which has put on quite a bit of more of an interesting race here in South Korea, as the drivers continue to settle into the race so far. There's no one needing to go into the pits after the first 2 laps as far as I know. But now we go on board with Camille Sarto, who lines up a move on Christian Lundgaard this time, and it's a successful overtake from the Japanese driver, and that moves him up into 6th position. Further up ahead, Calderon's lead is 2.4 seconds. As she goes through turn 3. MasterCard Lola aiming for an instant return to League One next season. Calderon in the lead. Her teammate Sebastian Ogier running in 12th place. Giving chase. And now we see Alan McNish get nudged from behind. That will be Oliver Turvey. And there's a little bit of a nudge going on further back too. We'll get a replay, I think, of that shortly as well. We've got Alan McNish in the ramp, going for an overtake on Turvey. Up the inside he went back onto the racing line. He actually got nudged by Turvey. And I'm sure there was another nudge going on further behind. I wonder if it was Jerome D'Ambrosio that got a nudge from someone back. Unfortunately, didn't quite see what happened in relation to that. But Manish is up into 20th position. He's got quite some way to make up from there. So Calderon continuing to keep hold of command of the race so far in lead 2. Hartley in second position will be happy with where he is. Kevin McMullen will be over the moon with how he went on in Sepang 2 weeks ago. Now this is a real opportunity for Pacific to really cement their status of contention for promotion this season. The top 3 teams at the end of the season from League 2 will go up to League 1. And in contrast, the bottom 3 teams in League 1 will end up being relegated to League 2 for Season 4. That's the nature of the Grand Prix World Series. Tatiana Calderon posting a new fastest lap of the race. And there is Sebastian Ogier under threat from Mike Conway in the Real. Conway going for it at the inside. And we look at Marcus Ericsson, who's nursing an issue. So just like in Sepang, Marcus Ericsson pulls to the side of the track. And it's not going to be a points finish. Disappointment for Ewan Gale as the team continue to show some promising pace. But they've still got quite some way to go before they can count their chickens and start counting up their points and start getting finishes under their belt for Season 3. Marcus Ericsson out of the race, and he's the first retirement on lap 4 here of the League 2 Yeongam Grand Prix. Now we look at Brendan Hartley, who's in second position. Up to third place then goes the sack speed of Lucas Di Grassi, who is aiming for 2 podium finishes in a row. He finished on the podium last time out in Sepang. Did a brilliant job, despite the collision he was involved in at the start with his teammate Sam Bird and Fabio Lima. And now we look at Jaime Alguersuari doing a stellar job in the Coloni so far. Now Jaime Alguersuari, who was formerly in the Prost team last season and the season before he was dropped due to a poor run of form. Alguersuari did win a race in Season 1, however, in Fuji. And now we see Brendan Hartley post the fastest up of the race. You can see the lap time coming down as we speak. And now we are watching what looks like Kamiya Sato diving to the inside of Jaime Alguersuari into turn 1. And that is a change in position for the Japanese driver as we look at Jack Aiken at the rear view of his Force India. And I wonder if he's in a little bit of a tussle with Takuma Sato as we see Oliver Turvey fall into the clutches there of the damned Vions. Looks like Teo Porcher is trying to make a move also. I think it's Valentino Rossi actually, my apologies. As Porsche's a couple of positions back. And there's a move there from Valentino Rossi moving up the field. He's got quite some way to make up before he starts thinking about getting into the points. And we can hear a problem. It looks like Jake Dennis has pulled off. So it's an early bath, I'm afraid, for the young Brit. Jake Dennis out of the race in the Andrea Moda with gearbox issues. So that's 1 car less for Lucy Ballwood to focus on here in Yeongam. It was they got 1 point from the last race because Jake Dennis had posted the fastest up of the race. But Jake Dennis isn't going to get anything this time. He is out. And And Andre Lotterer is well and truly out of the top 10. He's not even in the top 15 at the moment. So points are looking unlikely for last lap Lucy. And now we can see Brendan Hartley continuing on. Looking very, very good. Consistent. And he'll just be waiting maybe for the pit stops to arrive as of when they do happen. So Hartley running in second position. His teammate Sergio Sete Camara is running in a strong P7. Now Sete Camara was the driver of which Marcus Armstrong took out, which contributed to Armstrong's race ban for this round. And there's an engine problem. That's one of the Zach speeds. That'll be Sam Bird. Sam Bird nursing a problem. That's disappointment there for the Brit. So that's 2 Brits out in a space of a lap. So Sam Bird will be pulling to the side. Off the track. No points for him. Hopefully this is not an omen for what's to come for his teammate, Lucas Di Grassi. So Bird will want to be pulling off the track at some point soon, otherwise he can end up being an obstacle to the other drivers. So Sam Bird's car is catching fire now, so he needs to pull that off in a safe place. So Sam Bird is not going to finish the Yeongam Grand Prix. He's pulled off in a safe place. Hopefully he doesn't rejoin into the path of the other drivers. I think he's out of harm's way. So Bird is out. That's the 3rd retirement already from this League 2 race. So we've got a Zach Speed gone. We've lost an Andrea Moda. And we've lost, by memory, my memory can sometimes be a little bit short term. But Kimiya Sato's posted the fastest lap of the race. So just trying to remember who the other driver that we lost from the race so far. I'm sure it was like on lap 2 that we had lost it. I'm sure it'll come back to me in the near future. Théo Pourchaire in 19th position, making a move on his teammate Valentino Rossi. And yeah, Marcus Ericsson, that was the one I was after, so thank you for clearing that up. So we've lost a Fon Mattel, we've lost an Andrea Moda, and we've lost a Zach Speed. And now we can see Lucas Di Grassi running in P3. Mike Conway up to 11th place now. So Sam Bird, who looking to see where he finished in Yeongam last season. Now Yeongam was the host for round 4 of the championship. Sam Bird didn't finish in that one either, so that's twice he's raced in Yeongam and twice Sam Bird has failed to finish. So we're on board with Tatiana Calderon, the race leader, looking absolutely brilliant and coping well under pressure. As Lucas Di Grassi looks to fend off Kimiya Sato, who is recovering well after a very poor start to the race. He's lining up a move on Di Grassi in a moment. Even it isn't down at turn 1. Although he's thinking about going for a move into turn 1. Di Grassi saw it coming. And Kimiya Sato decides to back out of it and settle behind the Brazilian once more. As Conway comes into the pits, that's an early time in the race for a pit stop. We weren't expecting him to be in the pits, so he must be nursing some kind of issue. And that's a shame for Conway because he was running up there in P11 before he ducked into the pits. So Ogier is in 10th place now. Alexander Rossi is 9th. Pascal Wehrlein 8th. In the Fon Mattel. The sole surviving Fon Mattel. And there's a problem for Callum Ilott. So it looks like one of the LaRousses is out of the race. And that's another Brit gone too. So we've lost 3 British drivers in this race already. Callum Ilott, my apologies, is just pulled off to the side with a suspension issue. So that is one of Chris Hosey's cars gone from this one. The new team manager of the LaRousse team. Last season it was Will Knight in charge of the LaRousse outfit. And didn't come away with anything last time out at Sepang. And they're down a car already in this one. We're only on lap 8. Going on about British drivers, the highest British driver is in fact Jack Aiken now, who's running in P12. So not one British driver in the top 10 as we speak. And now we look at Brendan Hartley in second place. We'll be thinking about the pit stops right now as we look at Alexander Rossi going for a move on Pascal Wehrlein into turn 1. He can't quite pull the move off, and Sebastian Ogier might be able to get a run on him on the long back straight. As we watch Andre Lotterer make a move on the Dams Vion. I wonder if that's Valentino Rossi's just pulled a move because Porsche's further up ahead. So Rossi goes up to 20th or 19th, whichever. It's got a lot of ground to make up from there, that's for certain. And Rossi, who was just overtaken by Ogier at turn 3, has got him back again into turn 4. Yeongam proving to be another circuit where overtakes can be done. The main overtaking spots, I have to say, are turns 1, 3 and 4. It would take some doing to get any overtakes done at any of the other corners around this racetrack of Yeongam. First opened in 2010, I believe. And of course it hosted its first Formula 1 race that season. And it only hosted Formula 1 on 4 occasions before it fell off the calendar. The Korea International Circuit in Yeongam. So it actually broke ground in 2009, but it first opened in October 2010. Not long before Formula 1 went for its first race at the circuit, as Kimiya Sato has just got past Lucas Di Grassi now, and up to 3rd position goes the Dome driver. It's been a promising start to the season for the Dome team. Came into this round as the leading team in the Teams Championship in terms of points. Kimiya Sato is 3rd right now. Takuma Sato is on the fringes of the points in 11th place. Calderon continuing to lead, whilst her teammate Ogier is preoccupied with Alexander Rossi, of which he's trying to get through and stay ahead. So there is Kimiya Sato running in P3. Next man ahead, or next driver ahead, is Brendan Hartley in 2nd, who's another 4.5 seconds up the road. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel each driver has gone into this race on. Kimiya Sato's pace could well explain what his pit strategy is going to be. Brendan Hartley won the race by pitting only once in Sepang. Now, is that the way to go about it here? Or is the 2-stop strategy the better option on this racetrack of Yeongam? If I was to compare the Yeongam circuit, I would probably say that there's more slower corners than what we had in Sepang. I think grip is what's needed. We've just got a replay at the moment. We're not 100% sure why that is. And it's because Kimiya Sato is coming into the pits for his first stop. So Sato is in. And I would imagine he'll go onto a 2-stop. So that could well explain his pace in the early stages. The Japanese pilot. Hartley continuing on. And what Camille Sato does not want is traffic. So where will he feed back out? He'll be outside the top 15 as Oliver Turvey comes into the pits. As we see Christian Lundgaard locking up into turn 3, getting away with it. Sitting nice and comfortably behind Jaime Alguersuari in 5th place. That'll put a smile on Gemma Dixon's face with the way Lundgaard is performing and how Alguersuari is doing in his cameo appearance in place of the suspended Marcus Armstrong. As Hartley continuing on in P2 as we watch Jerome D'Ambrosio diving to the inside, or trying to go down the inside of Camille Sato, who's just come out of the pits actually. Now that's not someone of which Camille Sato had in mind of which he would be battling with. Hartley in 2nd place, aiming for 2 podiums at least from the opening 2 rounds to help the Pacific team get into League One for the first time. In case you are new and wondering what races are lined up on the calendar for Season 3 of the Grand Prix World Series, after Yeongam we go to Sentul in Indonesia, Fuji in Japan for round 4, it's Kyalami, South Africa, Istanbul, Turkey for round 6, and there's been a couple of changes to the calendar too, with Misano replacing Imola as the Italian round, and Dijon Bourgogne in France, a circuit which is designed by the team manager of the Leighton House team, Chris Cavani, the legend that is. And after those 2 rounds, we've got the mid-season test, which the rookie drivers, I say rookie drivers, those in the test and reserve driver roles for each team will get a go in the cars. As we watch an overtake from Oliver Turvey, I think, on Valentino Rossi. I think that's Mike Conway actually getting a move done. So after France, we go to Brands Hatch, then to Hockenheim, and then we've got another new circuit in Pannonia in Hungary, followed by the street circuit of Valencia in Spain, and then we return to more familiar territory in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Of course, we've got a couple more new races in the Grand Prix World Series, one in Curitiba in Brazil and San Carlos in Venezuela. The 16th and final round of the championship will be at Laguna Seca for the 3rd season in a row. We're on lap 12 of the race now, and we're certainly beginning to see a few pit stops happening, as they are. As we look at Hartley, who's continuing to give chase up ahead, as Alguersuari runs wide and nearly dropped it on the exit in the last sector of the lap. He got away with it there, so Jaime Alguersuari living to fight another day. I think that was turn 14 he ran wide and nearly lost control, but he gathered it all together. And Calderon's lead over Hartley's 3.2 seconds, so she's managing the gap very, very well up front. As we watch Camille Sato going for a move on Théo Pourchaire, and this should be an overtake completed here, I think. And that's Camille getting through on Théo to put himself up into 14th position. The next driver up ahead is Alan McNish in the Ram racing machine. Now, Ram are one of 4 new teams in the Grand Prix World Series this season, along with Dams, Vion, Carlin, and one other team of which are making their debut this season. Just trying to work it out from memory. Got Dams, Vion, Carlin, Ram Racing, and Dome. Now, Dome, who are leading the team's championship, are looking very, very strong already. Looking good to score good points every round, but every round can be different in terms of where you qualify and how you get on in the races. Nothing is certain in the Grand Prix World Series, and that is how we like it. So there's the sole surviving sack speed of Lucas Di Grassi in 3rd place. Sam Bird went out earlier on, in case you were wondering. And Tatiana Calderon continuing to lead and doing a stellar job. After a sensational qualifying session, becoming the first woman to be on pole position for a Grand Prix World Series race. And hopefully it'll be the first of many for her. And of course, for women being involved in the Grand Prix World Series, either as a driver or as a team manager even. I mean, we've had previous female managers involved in the Grand Prix World Series. We had Emma Butterworth, who was in charge of the Arrows team for the first couple of seasons. In fact, she was in charge of the team that won the first ever Grand Prix World Series race in Kyalami 3 years ago for season 1, when Kamiri Kobayashi had won. I think Emma Featherstone, who was in charge of the BMS Scuderia Italia team last season, she was in charge of the squad in season 2, which Andre Lotterer took victory in Fuji. But we've never had a female driver win in the Grand Prix World Series. Whether it's a League 2 race or a League 1 race, we've never had one. Could today be the first? And Takuma Sato, who's just pitted, is trying to make his way back through on the what looks like one of the Dams Viant cars, of which Jake Sanson manages. And other female drivers we've had in the Grand Prix World Series in the past, we've had Susie Wolff involved, which was very nice to see. We had Simona Di Silvestro, who was in the MasterCard Lola car in season 2. Didn't really blow anyone away by any means. As we watch Kamiya Sato trying to make a move on McNish for 13th position. He doesn't want to be wasting any time. If he's in the battle with Brendan Hartley and Lucas Di Grassi later on, he needs to get past Alan McNish. And he's going to do so now on the pit straight. Kamiya Sato up the inside of the Scot. And that should be a change in position. So Sato up to P13 now. The next man ahead is Sebastian Loeb. As we watch Takuma Sato replicate a manoeuvre. And this is Valentino Rossi that he's getting past. And that's another change in position there. Well, lap 15 then. Kamiya Sato has the fastest lap of the race so far. That could change in due course when we start to see more drivers putting on fresh tyres. Some drivers will be going for the 1 stop, others will be going for the 2. Calderon continuing to circulate around this Korea International Circuit in Yeongam. Sebastian Vettel, 3 times a Grand Prix winner of this track from 2011 to 2013. It would have been 4 in 2010 before an engine failure robbed him of a certain victory with 10 laps to go. And Fernando Alonso inheriting the win that day for Ferrari. Of course, it's one of a few circuits that Lewis Hamilton has yet to take victory at in his Formula 1 career that he's competed in the past. So maybe if Yeongam decides to get another chance of it in the near future, who knows? Could well see some more Grand Prix racing in the Republic of Korea. So we see, I think that's Kamiya Sato who's trying to close in on Sebastian Loeb. Now looking at the gap behind Lucas Di Grassi to Kamir Sato. If Di Grassi was to pit now, he would be behind Sato. If you look at Calderon, she's absolutely showing her class up front. She'll have already collected the point for pole position. And there's Hartley. He will still be in the lead of the League 2 Drivers' Championship as it stands. But of course, it's still early days in the season. And then after Yeongam, we'll be going to the first of the new venues for the Grand Prix World Series, and that is in Sentul, Indonesia. So we'll see Di Grassi going over the line. He's nearly 7 seconds behind Hartley. So Tatiana Calderon, who has raced in various categories over the years in her career. She's done Formula 2, she's raced in GP3, she's even had a go in IndyCar as well. As we watch Kamir Sato dive into the inside of Sebastian Loeb, and that's another overtake done. There's 9 seconds between him and Luciano Piquetta, who scored points in his debut Grand Prix World Series outing in Sepang 2 weeks ago. He's showing no sign of stopping. There's Brendan Hartley running in second place. Going towards the sweeping left-handers. The New Zealander who started 25 races in his Formula 1 career. Best finish of 9th, I believe, either in Austin or in Hockenheim in 2018, was all of what he was able to achieve before he was dropped by Toro Rosso at the end of the year. And since he's been racing the likes of sports cars, especially for Toyota. Raced in Formula E as well for a bit, although he didn't see out the season. I think he was already out of I think it was the Dragon Penske squad that he was part of before he left whilst everything was in lockdown in 2020. He didn't come back for the season finale in Berlin, I remember. Whilst we see Tatiana Calderon continuing to head the field, a nice camera angle on the nose cone of her machine. Are Mastercard of Lola going to take their first ever victory? Be amazing if they could do it. Their best finish, as far as I can remember, well, they didn't achieve much last season, so they went down with only 5 points. In season 1, I think the highest they've achieved was either 4th or 5th. I don't think they finished on the podium in the Grand Prix World Series. But she's doing a super job so far, is Calderon, impressing the team. And Hartley will be impressing Kevin McMullen as well with what he's doing in second position. Soto Sete Camera staying in it so far in 6th place. As we see Luciano Piquetta making up a few positions because Sebastian Ogier and Jack Aitken coming into the pits at the same time. Now, the best result that the MasterCard Lola team had achieved was a 4th place finish, and that was in Estoril, which Paul di Resta had achieved. Oliver Turvey coming in from 19th position. I think he's already been in the pits earlier in the race, unless I'm mistaken. So it's been a low-key race for the Real team. The man at the helm is Ed Hunter. Able to come away with a point or something like that. Oh, that's Kamir Sato going for a spin. He's run wide. Has the Japanese. That's a terrible error for the dome driver. So he's run wide. He's locked up. Carried too much speed. And that has cost the man going for a podium absolutely dear. And now he might have to wait for the field to get through before he can rejoin safely. As you can see, there's just a car and another car and another car going by. It must feel like an eternity for him there. And that could well spell any hope of salvaging anything from this race. It's almost becoming a bit of a stumbling block for the drivers now. And he needs to rejoin safely, and he's still stranded there, is the dome driver. Kamir Sato's just going to find himself right at the back of the pack. Surprised he hasn't got going by now, but I think once Oliver Turvey's got by, yeah. So Sato down in 22nd and last place, losing all that time. And almost a lap down. So whilst he's had that spin, Lucas Di Grassi and Christian Lundgaard came into the pits. Di Grassi doesn't need to worry about Kamir Sato now. So Conway trying to make his way through the field. And in front of him is Christian Lundgaard, who's just come out of the pits. So is Conway going to make a move? Not so sure at the present moment. So we have an idea as to who is one stopping in this race and who's not. Well, Calderon's not stopped yet. Neither is Hartley or Alguersuari or Sete Camara or Alexander Rossi. Luciano Becchetta hasn't stopped yet. Neither is Sebastian Loeb. So Lucas Di Grassi is the highest driver in the field that has made a pit stop. I don't know for certain whether he will be stopping again before the end of the race. He probably won't be doing another stop, but I could well be wrong. Calderon not distracted by anything right now, just focusing on the job in hand. And Becchetta comes into the pits from 6th position. Picked up points in his first race. Doing another brilliant job again. It was meant to be Davide Valsecchi in the seat, but Luciano Becchetta was given the opportunity last minute in place of him. And Becchetta is rejoined in 14th position behind Sebastian Ogier. Here's Aitken looking for a move round the outside of Becchetta. They are going side by side. Is Aitken going to be later on the brakes? Well, he's got in front before they even get into the corner, so Becchetta's left himself with more to do than desired. On board again with Brendan Hartley. Keeping up with Calderon as best as he can. The gap is 3.7 seconds. Are we going to be seeing pit stops at the end of this lap? Well, Hartley's not heading for the pits on this occasion. What about Alguersuari? Is he going for the pits at the end of this lap? He's not. He's carrying on for now. And I think there's a car that's ducked into the pits though. Is that Sete Camera or is that Alexander Rossi? We'll find out in a moment. It's Rossi. So he's in from 5th place for his only stop. There's the Kiwi running in 2nd place. Lundgaard 8th, Conway 9th. I can tell you the order is changing a little bit because of Rossi being in the pits. So Lundgaard and Conway up to 7th and 8th. Rossi rejoins behind Takuma Sato. And we've got Pascal Wehrlein coming down the back straight again. Valentino Rossi comes in. He's got by what looks like the LaRousse there of Alexander Rossi, who's just come out of the pits. So a brilliant move there from Wehrlein in the Fonmetal. Getting past the LaRousse round the outside on the straight. And that's him up into the points for now at least. Alguersuari continue on in 3rd place. He's not had to do much. Just keeping the car on the track, not making any errors. Now, will Alguersuari be given another chance later in the season by Gemma Dixon? From what we've seen so far from him, it's been a brilliant effort from the Spaniard who raced with Toro Rosso from 2009 to 2011. And Calderon, Hartley and Alguersuari are pitting at the end of lap 22. So with 19 laps to go, they are all in. And Sergio Sete Camera will take over at the head of the pack. And the Brazilian carrying on. I think it's the first time he's led a Grand Prix World Series race. Calderon exits the pits in 2nd place. Hartley isn't too far behind. I think he might be closer to her than what they were when the pit stops had begun. And there is Rossi. Getting past Pascal Wehrlein. And Sebastian Loeb will be coming out of the pits very shortly, I believe. He's behind Pourchaire. He's behind his teammate Ali McNish. So how long does Sergio Sete Camera stay out for before he comes in for his stop? Sete Camera was to rejoin the race now. He'll probably come out behind Takuma Sato in 8th. We've lost only 4 drivers in this race so far, all retiring quite early on. I can say that Hartley's less than 2 seconds behind Calderon. He's really getting the hammer down. Putting Calderon under pressure. And Sete Camera comes into the pits from the race lead. And it's Calderon who go back at the head of the field. Di Grassi's 3rd. Sete Camera, where will he rejoin? He's actually come out in front of Takuma Sato. Sete Camera goes up the order whilst we see Sebastian Ogier make a move on Pascal Wehrlein. And he's got through into 10th position. Up into the points goes the Frenchman. Sets camera is in 7th position now. Behind Mike Conway. I don't want to say it's settled until the checker flag. It hasn't been settled. The battle for the lead is still very much on between Tatiana Calderon and Brendan Hartley. Is Calderon going to take MasterCard Lola's first ever win in the Grand Prix World Series? Well, I can tell you one man is not going to be getting his first win in the Grand Prix World Series just yet, and that's Kimiya Sato, who is nursing a problem. So he is now gone from the race. Providing he can pull off in a safe spot. You can see that's either a suspension problem or a loose wheel on the dome. And he's going to become an obstacle in a minute if he's not careful, because the leaders will be coming round to that back straight very, very shortly. Kimiya Sato is just pretty much coming to a stop, I should think. And the marshal should be able to pull that car away. He's actually still creeping forward, actually, is Kimiya Sato. Calderon, does she avoid it? She does. What about Hartley? Does he get around it? He does. It's a puncher for Kimiya Sato. So that confirms the first retirement in the Grand Prix World Series for Dome. Conway's in the pits for his only stop. Or at least for his second stop, whichever. So he's out with the points, is Conway. Calderon and Hartley, less than 2 seconds between them. Degrassi third, and behind him is the Coloni of Jaime Alguersuari. And it's Christian Lundgaard in 5th place. That'll be a good haul of points for the Coloni team. Degrassi's third place is far from secure. Seta Camera is in 6th, so 2 Pacifics in the top 6. Takuma Sato for Dome in 7th place, Alexander Rossi for LaRace in 8th, Sebastian Ogier for MasterCard Lola in 9th, and Jack Aiken for Force India in 10th position. Over the line to complete another lap. Calderon not cracking under pressure just yet. There's Alexander Rossi pulling off a move on Takuma Sato here for 7th position. And the American goes through, no problem. Well, last time out in Malaysia, Brendan Hartley started 3rd on the grid in order to win the race. And he started 3rd on the grid here in Yeongam. Could history repeat itself? And could history repeat itself for Lucas Di Grassi, because he finished 3rd in Sepang for Sac Speed. Is he going to be collecting another 3rd place? And there's the man running in 21st and last place, Valentino Rossi. MotoGP legend. He's going after his Dam's Vaillant teammate, Teo Porcher. Meanwhile, Calderon is still there, ahead of Hartley. coming up to any back markers yet. She probably won't catch up to any back markers before this race is over. As we watch Alguersuari behind Lucas Di Grassi in the battle for third place now. And Kim Masato comes into the pits for the second time. He's left himself with too much to do between now and the check of flag. It's been a race to forget for Dome. They will not be walking away from Yeongam in the lead of the team's championship. So if it was to stay like this, Pacific will be walking away as the leaders, with Hartley picking up 18 points for second, Sergio Sete Camera picking up 8 points for finishing 6th. 26 points going their way, which will move them on to 51. And Sack Speed, as it stands, will be going up into second position, I believe. And with MasterCard Lola getting 25 for the win and 4 for the 8th place finish, they'll move on to 39. So Zaxby will move on to 38. So in actual fact, MasterCard Lola would leapfrog not only Zaxby but Dome as well. Dome will be dropping down to 4th with the positions as they currently are. In regards to the Drivers' Championship, Brendan Hartley will be extending his lead at the top. Tatiana Calderon will move up to second with this win. If she was to come away as the winner here. And the gap, as it stands, will be 8 points in favour of the New Zealander. Lucas Di Grassi will be third on 30 points. And there's Calderon. Setting the gap slightly over Hartley to 2.2 seconds. Lucas Di Grassi third. Jaime Alguersuari still keeping hold of fourth. Christian Lundgaard is fifth. Sergio Sete Camera, Alexander Rossi, Sebastian Ogier, Jack Aiken and Luciano Piquetta in 10th position, on course to make it 2 races in a row, scoring points. Pascal Wehrlein just outside the top 10 in 11th position. Doesn't like Von Mattel are going to be adding to their total already. Picks up 1 point for the pole position in Malaysia. You're not going to get anything as it stands. "13 laps remaining then." As we watch Christian Lundgaard, or Jaime Alguersuari I should say, behind Lucas Di Grassi. Could have changed for third place, be beckoning here. Di Grassi's able to pull away further actually, so he lives to fight another day. And there's Conway running in 14th position. It's only a few laps ago since he came into the pits for a second stop. He's trying to make good use of it now and get ahead of Alan McNish. He's going for it into turn 1, but it's not the best face spin to get the move done there, and he's lost ground, so he'll have to make that up again in the next lap. We've got the League 1 race coming up later on, so stay tuned. I will remind you, the top 3 teams at the end of the season from League 2 will go up to League 1 for Season 4. The bottom 3 teams from League 1 will end up going down to League 2. And we can see an engine problem there. That looks like Théo Pourchaire's engine has given up the ghost. And it looks like he is going to be pulling to the sidelines or joining the likes of Sam Bird, Kamiya Sato, Jake Dennis, Marcus Ericsson and co. And that is the Dams Vaillant gone. So that's one of Jake Sanson's cars out of the race. So there's some work to do for the team. I just hope that Pourchaire doesn't rejoin back onto the circuit. He shouldn't do. And leader and the second place driver will be coming round to it shortly. Pourchaire goes onto the grass, stays out of the way, and there's the Frenchman gone. So the Formula 2 runner-up of 2022 out of the race here in Yeongam. No points for the team, and it's unlikely they'll come away with anything here. Well, Conway's got past McNish into 13th position. The next one ahead of him is the second Ram. The second of the two Rams is Sebastian Loeb in 12th. And he's got some ground to make up on Verline. As we watch Takuma Sato fight it out with the sole surviving Andrea Moda of Andre Lotterer. Six drivers gone from this race now. Théo Pourchaire, Kamiya Sato, Sam Bird, Callum Ilott, Marcus Ericsson and Jake Dennis. 11 laps remaining here. And Hartley is not quite closing down the gap. He's just going to be hoping for a mistake from Calderon. Sato locking up, trying to get past the Andrea Moda and the Force India. Degrassi in third position. He's got Alguersuari still right on his tail. And I tell you, another driver who's got his mirrors to look out for is Sergio Sette Camera. He's closing in. So we could have a battle for third and a battle for fifth. Hotting up shortly. Here's Hartley 2.5 seconds off the lead as we see Andre Lotterer lose a position by the looks of it to Kamiya Sato. And did Kamiya Sato complete the move? It looks like he did from that angle. We're going to get a replay of it now. So off the inside goes the Japanese driver, and that's a position gained for the Dome. Sato goes up to 16th position. Just little consolation for the team. Calderon continuing to lead. Hartley in second. Lucas Degrassi third. And it's the two Colonis of Alguersuari and Lundgaard in fourth and fifth. So you see Lucas Degrassi in P3. 17 seconds off the lead, but that's not his focus. His focus is just keeping Alguersuari at bay. So is Alguersuari close enough to have a go on the Brazilian just yet? Won't know for certain. As we see Oliver Turvey in the Real in 19th position. Riel, who struggled in Season 2 in their debut season, to make amends and fight it out in the points more often. Not sure promotion is exactly on the cards for Ed Hunter's team just yet. So Calderon focusing on every corner of every lap to stay at the head of the field. What a marvellous performance it has been from the Colombian. No such problems for Degrassi at the moment. Sunbird already retiring. And we've not had any collisions so far in the race, or hardly any collisions. And that is Fabio Lima out. That is Fabio Lima in the Carling gone from this race. He was at the back end of the field anyway, but that is one of the Carlings gone. Now Lima's teammate is Luciano Bicetta, who's running up there in 10th position inside the points, and it's a puncher for the Swiss. So that's another driver released from this race. Calderon still in charge. But will she be standing on the top step once the checkered flag has been waved? Marcus Johansson will be keeping his fingers crossed that nothing in relation to anything mechanical striking his team, hoping that Calderon will get to the flag in one piece. And that was Andre Lotto trying to make a move on Jet Aiken. It's been a below par performance from Andrea Moda today. It's been a step back from where they were at the season opener in Malaysia. Conway running in 13th, McNish 14th, and Camille Sato I think is just going to pull off a move on the Scot in a moment. He's right behind him, but I don't know if he is actually close enough to go for a move just yet. There's Degrassi, there's Alguersuari in the battle for 3rd position. Cross over the line once more. And there is Calderon. Her lead is 2.3 seconds. Lap 34, 8 to go in this Lead 2 race. And there is Hartley doing everything he needs to do. I'll say everything he needs to do. He'll want the win, but he'll be happy with 2nd place no matter what. He'll stay at the top of the Drivers' Championship and propel Pacific into the lead of the Team's Championship, providing Sete Camera stays in 6th position. Gap was pretty much around the same, I would say, to Degrassi and Alguersuari. Here's Bicetta in P10, hoping to keep hold of the final point. Doing a brilliant job again for Carlin. In charge of the Carlin team is Perry Brown. And they cross over the line again. Degrassi still holding 3rd position ahead of Alguersuari. come out of turns 1 and 2. And it's still the sack speed in the final podium spot. And Calderon, right on board, looking ever so strong since lights went out. And now we see Lowe almost losing the position to Mike Conway. He stays in front for now. Seven to go. Hartley's gap to Calderon behind is 2.5 seconds. Calderon managing the gap. And managing it ever so splendidly. Hartley, as we ride on board, determined to make it 2 wins out of 2. Grassi in P3. He's got Alguersuari behind still. And as we see Kamiya Sato right up behind Alan McNish. And we see a lock up there from Hartley. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. We're going to get a replay. And it looks like he just locked up heavily into turn 3. And that'll give Calderon the buffer she needs. And there's Degrassi with Alguersuari still there, waiting to make his move, but not doing it just yet. Jack Aiken on course for his first points of the season for Force India. Sebastian Ogier likewise, Alexander Rossi, Sergio Sette Camera, Christian Lundgaard, Jaime Alguersuari getting his first points, and Tatiana Calderon is on course to get her first points of the season. Although actually, Calderon finished in a brilliant 5th place in Malaysia, so she's already got points. So I take my word back. Kamiya Sato will get the point for the fastest lap. Marcus Ericsson will get the point for pole position. Now, if you're someone watching this and thinking, how can I get involved as a manager? Well, feel free to contact Downforce Radio. They do have a website which you can have a look to see. You can get involved in the Discord group and place your interest. And we'll look to see if we can, if there is a team available as to who you can become a manager for and choose your drivers for and simply watch the action. The gap is 4.1 seconds now between Calderon and Hartley with 5 laps remaining. And you can see the battle for third, and you can see the 5 cars in the same picture. Degrassi, Alguersuari, Lundgaard, Sette Camera and Alexander Rossi. Mike Conway making a move here on Sebastian Loeb in the closing stages. And this is going to be a change in position. And Conway goes up to 12th place for Real. Not for points, but it'll give Ed Hunter something to smile about at least anyway. Here, the curve's been rode on by Lucas Degrassi's sack speed. And is that a problem for Ogier? No, it's not. Almost jinxed it there, but Ogier going through the corners. Didn't know whether he ran wide for a moment, but I think just maybe slowing down for the corner anyway. Ogier running in 8th position. Calderon continuing to head the pack. On course for her first victory in the Grand Prix World Series. And giving Mastercard Lola something to be over the moon around. Or be over the moon about. Following the disappointment of Season 2. After a disastrous campaign to see them relegated. And could this be the start of a truly remarkable recovery under the eyes of the Swede Marcus Johansson? Degrassi running in 3rd place as Takuma Sato lines up. Alan McNish. I think that move had been coming for some time, so Sato goes through and up into 14th place. We saw Degrassi make a lock-up into turn 4, and now Alguersuari's got a chance at this to maybe get a move done and snatch the final podium position away from the Brazilian. There's Hartley running in P2. And these two, Calderon over 20 seconds ahead of Degrassi. Almost a full pit stop ahead. Into the final few laps they go. Alguersuari thinking about a move on Lucas Degrassi for 3rd place. Is he going to do it on the pit straight as they come round? We're looking at Degrassi, but we want to see Alguersuari. Where is he going to filter in the picture as they come towards turn 1? Alguersuari thinks away, goes to the inside, but Degrassi holds him off for the time being. And he stays ahead, and I think Alguersuari's last chance may have gone at that point. Should have just waited until turn 3 to get the overtake completed, pull into the slipstream and get alongside. Here's Brendan Hartley running in P2. Looking very nice. Confident. Content. Degrassi will be hoping to be as content as Hartley after the race. It's been a promising start to the season for him. Of course, him and Hartley were teammates at Manor in Season 1. But Degrassi was dropped at the end of the season. And he's showing in the Zach Speed why he should never have been dropped in the first place. Calderon will just be begging for the checker flag to come out now. But she's got 2 more tours. 11 kilometres of this career international circuit. And she will be home and dry. What a remarkable performance. Now we'll look at Lucas Degrassi. It doesn't look like Alguersuari is going to make a move anytime soon, so I think that's that battle all but over now. Degrassi ahead of Alguersuari, ahead of Lundgaard. And Hartley going around turn 4 again. Pacific continuing to have a Promising start to the season after 2 rounds. We go to Sentul in Indonesia after this, but we've got the League 1 race still to come. And Calderon just keep doing everything right for the time being. And it won't be too long before that checker flag is within her sight. What a race it's been from Calderon, and what a race it's been for the MasterCard Lola team. And Calderon is starting the final lap now. Don't see any changes happening throughout the field now, unfortunately. As Degrassi continues to push hard to defend what is expected to be his podium position, his second in a row. Hartley still pushing as hard as he can to close in on Calderon, but he's going to run out of time to catch the Colombian. Calderon so close to victory. She's about to become the first female driver to win a Grand Prix World Series race. Susie Wolf tried and failed. Simona Di Silvestro tried and failed. But Tatiana Calderon is showing why women belong in the Grand Prix World Series and why it's such a compelling championship for both men and women and for those within the LGBTQ community. Calderon has only got a handful of corners to get through, and the checker flag will be out to see her and MasterCard Lola take their first ever victory in the GPWS on the Korea International Circuit in Yeongam. Tatiana Calderon fends off the likes of Brendan Hartley and co. Comes round. Tatiana Calderon wins the Yeongam Grand Prix in the League 2 event. What a sensational drive, and has made history. She becomes the first female driver to win a Grand Prix World Series race. She'll be ecstatic with that. Brendan Hartley on the podium yet again, and Lucas Degrassi is going to be on the podium again for Zach Speed. More points for him and for the German team. Third place goes to him, and it's the two colonies of Jaime Alguersuari and Christian Lundgaard in 4th and 5th places respectively. Sergio Sette Camara makes it 2 Pacifics in the top 6. Alexander Rossi picks up his first points of the season in 7th place. Sebastian Ogier completes a great day for MasterCard Lola in 8th. Jet Aiken in 9th for Force India, and Luciano Piquetta picks up another point for Carlin in 10th place. Pascal Wehrlein missing out the points in 11th. Mike Conway in 12th. And they've got Sebastian Loeb for Ram Racing. Takuma Sato 14th for Dome. They have had a terrible day today. Huge setback from where they were 2 weeks ago. Alan Minish making it 2 Ram Racing cars finishing. Jerome D'Ambrosio, Andre Lotterer, Oliver Turvey. And we should expect to see Valentino Rossi over the line as the last driver to finish. So at least it'll be some prize money for Jake Sanson to use for when the upgrade window opens. But it's a victory for Tatiana Calderon for MasterCard Lola in Yeongam. Brendan Hartley coming home in 2nd place. Then we've got Lucas Degrassi, Jaime Alguersuari, Christian Lundgaard and Sergio Sette Camara next behind. Alexander Rossi picking up Larissa's first points of the season in 7th place. Then it's Sebastian Ogier, Jet Aiken and Luciano Piquetta running out the top 10. Pascal Wehrlein is next. Mike Conway missing out on points for Real. There's Sebastian Loeb, Takuma Sato, Alan McNish, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Andre Lotterer, Oliver Turvey and Valentino Rossi. The rest of the 19 finishes. Fabio Lima had a puncher and retired. Theo Porcher also retired. And the likes of Jake Dennis, Marcus Ericsson, who we lost very much earlier on. Kamiya Sato also retired. And I'm sure there's a couple more which I've missed out as well. But what a day for Tatiana Calderon, who makes history, becoming the first female driver to win a Grand Prix World Series race.
Well, an absolutely huge result there for Tatiana Calderon and the Mastercard Lola team. The first ever female driver to win in the Grand Prix World Series. And I don't think there will be a single person who will be displeased to see that fantastic result there. With Brendan Hartley making it 2 podiums from 2 races, a first and a second here today in Yeongam. And Lucas Di Grassi, 2 races, 3 third places. Consistency for the Brazilian. And what has that done for the championship standings? Well, Brendan Hartley, by virtue of his first and second place, keeps the lead of the championship with 43 points. Tatiana Calderon adding to her 10 points from last time out, now on 36 and second in the championship, ahead of Lucas Di Grassi. Takuma Sato still 4th despite not having scored today. Jaime Alguersuari straight up to 5th place with his result there, ahead of Christian Lundgaard. That's a good haul of points for the Scuderia Coloni team. Sam Bird is 7th with 8 points ahead of Sergio Sette Canberra, Jerome D'Ambrosio and Alexander Rossi. That rounds out the top 10 for you. In the team standings, Dome drops from 1st to 4th, with Pacific shooting to the top on 51 points. Mastercard Lola is now on 40 ahead of Saxby with 38. Dome, as I said, in 4th, they have 31 points. Scuderia Coloni 22 ahead of Force India on 8. LaRousse on 6. Carlin on 5. Dams Vaillant on 2 and Rial on 1 point in 10th. But now let's move on to League One and a couple of driver changes to bring you for today's race. Marco Wittmann banned from today's race after he took out Kamui Kobayashi at the last race in Sepang. He will be replaced by Nico Prost, who is driving for what was originally his father's team, now being run by Tom Cairns, and he will be eager to see how Nico gets along in the car. And at Midland Racing, Juan Manuel Carreo also picking up a race ban. He will be replaced by Rio Haryanto for this race. Alex Johnston looking to see which of the driver will be a better option for the future. Haryanto getting his debut in the Grand Prix World Series today. Looking down the grid, it is pole position for Antonio Felix da Costa in the Minardi. A fantastic job by the Portuguese driver to secure pole by 0.3 of a second to the arrows of Danny Juncadella. A huge gap there by Grand Prix World Series standards, and he'll be looking to fully capitalise and take his second Grand Prix World Series victory today. Helio Castroneves, 3rd in the Leighton House ahead of Alex Lynn in the HRT. A great job there from Lynn. A race winner last season. A bit of a slow start to his season last time out, but from 4th he could potentially get on to the podium there. We'll keep track of his progress. Kamui Kobayashi 5th in the manner ahead of Colton Herta. A great job by the American to put his AGS 6th onto the grid. Ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne, our Season 1 champion, 7th in the other Minardi. Sébastien Bourdais, the fellow Frenchman of Jean-Eric Vergne, he is 8th. Paul de Resta 9th and Sean Gelael 10th in the BAR. Adrian Sutil will be 11th in the HRT ahead of Robin Freund, our Season 2 vice champion. The Super Aguri going 0.6 of a second slower than Da Costa, his former teammate, to line up 12th on the grid. And 13th and 14th, this will be an interesting lineup here. Scott Dixon and Will Power, both of them having pretty poor qualifying sessions, it must be said. And they will go through the pack together. Can they advance into the high reaches of the points? We will keep track and see how they get on. Marino Sato 15th ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn. Rio Haryanto on his debut for Midland will be 17th ahead of Pato Ward in the Arrows. Roman Grosjean 19th and Nicholas Latifi 20th in the Manor and the BAR. 21st, Kazuki Nakajima ahead of Nico Prost on his debut, out-qualifying Artem Markelov. Not a bad job at all from the Frenchman. And at the back, Roy Nassani, Mahavira Kunathan and Tom Cruise in the AGS, 2.6 seconds off the pace of Antonio Felix da Costa. And surely already some questions are going to be raised in the AGS camp as to whether Tom Cruise is cut out for the Grand Prix World Series. That is for Lewis Bassendale to decide. But for now, we have one more thing left to do, and that is race. Tom Cairns, take it away.
The League 2 race was just brilliant to see Tatiana Calderon come away with a victory for Mastercard Lola. Can the League 1 race live up to just that? We've got Antonio Felix da Costa on pole for Minardi with Danny Juncadella alongside in the Arrows. The first light is on. Got 2, 3, 4, 5 lights are on. Lights out and away we go. And it looks like Danny Juncadella reacted well to the lights in comparison to Da Costa. And now we're watching the other Leighton House there of Helio Castroneves coming through. But look who's that on the inside. That's Colton Herta. Would you believe it? Colton Herta for AGS has snatched the lead at the first turn. Unbelievable start from him. And Danny Juncadella is down in 4th place behind Helio Castroneves, so we see Nicholas Latifi dicing it out with one of the pros by the looks of it. But what a start from Colton Herta. It was almost like gridlock down at turn 1 as Nicholas Latifi. Oh, and that's Marino Sato, who's without a front wing or rear wing to his wagon. So that'll be him off into the pits at the end of the first lap. I wonder who had ran into him at the first turn. We don't know for certain as the field continue on. But what a start from Colton Herta, because he was way down the pack going into turn 1. I'm just looking at where he started. He started 6th on the grid. And he's managed to find himself into the race lead at turn 1. Amazing stuff. And this is Castroneves fighting it out with Young Day for 3rd place going into turn 4. But what a brilliant, brilliant start for AGS. They couldn't have wished for a better beginning to the race here in Yeongam. And now we see Grosjean getting attacked there by one of the 40s. So Grosjean not getting off to the best of starts either by the looks of it. And I wonder what's happened here, because I think he's trying to make a move on Marino Sato almost up ahead, but he actually gets tapped by the 40. And I wonder, I couldn't quite tell whether it was Roy Nissany or Mahathir Raghunathan making a move. But Marino Sato will be in the pits at the end of this lap. And a time penalty has been dished out to Roy Nissany. He was the one that hit Romain Grosjean, and he's been given a 10-second time penalty for the collision. Now, we saw in Malaysia a number of drivers being given disqualification and race bans for causing the collision, which saw a retirement as a consequence to the other driver. But Roy Nissany has been given a 10-second time penalty for the collision with Romain Grosjean at turn 4 on the opening lap. So we can see Colton Herta in the race lead, but how long will he be staying there? Because Da Costa is right behind, waiting to pounce and get back into the lead again. As we see Kamui Kobayashi making a move, and I think Da Costa has got past Colton Herta for the race lead. So Da Costa back into P1 ahead of the American, as we see Alex Lynn hit trouble there. I'm not sure exactly what's happened, but I think we're going to see a replay of the overtake from Antonio Felix Da Costa on Colton Herta. And the Portuguese is past and is through into P1 ahead of the AGS. And Alex Lynn has been hit from behind, and the rear wing is gone, and the left rear has been dislodged and gone. So Alex Lynn is out of the race. Who was it that ran into him? It was the Leighton House by the looks of it, and I think that's Will Power that's run into the HRT. So Alex Lynn out of the race. Will Power, I imagine, will be under investigation by the stewards. We'll see what their verdict is on that. Alex Lynn is the first retirement of the race in the HRT. So that's one less car in the running then for their team boss, John Munro. Adrian Sutil outside the points in 13th. And I don't know whether the stewards have come to a conclusion on the there we go, look. And the conclusion is Will Power has been given a 1 race ban by the stewards, which will also mean, as we watch Colton Herta go off, unbelievable, Colton Herta, who was in the race lead at the start, and all that hard work has come undone on the second lap. Colton Herta's gone wide, and it's going to fall to the back of the pack. From hero to zero in a matter of minutes. So whilst Will Power has been given a race ban and a potential disqualification from the race, Colton Herta has managed to find himself at the back of the pack. Oh, what rotten luck for the AGS boss. That is Lewis Passendale. To see his driver fall down. But what I will say is Will Power has been given a 1 race ban by the stewards for the contact with Alex Lynn. And because that caused Lynn to retire, that is the reason for his race ban. So Will Power will not compete in Zental next time out. Now the team's reserve driver is Dario Franchitti, who is no stranger to the Grand Prix World Series. He did the first half of last season for HRT. But it looks like he could well be given the nod for Zental in place of Power. So that's bad news for Power, who's running in 7th place right now, behind Jean-Eric Verne. There is Adrian Sutil making a move on one of the Simtex, actually. That is Scott Dixon, who struggled in qualifying, as his teammate Stoffel van Dorn. So both the Simtex not quite where they usually would be. And they find themselves with a lot to do here in Yeongam. I have to say, it's turning into a very interesting race so far. Da Costa back into the lead for Minardi. Helio Castroneves in 2nd place. Now Castroneves, who's already won twice, or 3 times I should say. In fact, he's the only driver to have won 2 races in his maiden 2 outings in the Grand Prix World Series. And of course, he made his debut in round 8. That would have been in Istanbul, where he won the League 2 race then. And he won the very next one at the Birmingham Super Prix. And the 3rd and final fixture of the campaign for him would have come in round 14 of the championship, would have been in Brno. Could Castroneves catch Da Costa and fight it out for victory with him later on? And Da Costa with a knee fastest up of the race. Kobayashi up into a fine 3rd place. At least he's gone a lot further than he had done in Sepang, as Tom Cruise runs wide at what looks like turn 14. And behind him he's got one of the 40s. That might be Roy Nassani that he's battling with, unless it's Mahathir Raghunathan by any chance. He's run wide, he's allowed the 40 through, and then he came back out into the path there of what looked like one of the Prosts. And Colton Hurt is behind him too. So it's not been a good start for AGS in this race, unfortunately. It looks like it was, until Colton Hurt's work was undone at turn 6. Kobayashi running in P3, giving chase. As we see Adrian Sutil make a move, but is that Scott Dixon has got past? No, it's Stoffel van Dorn that's behind. I think he did try to get past Scott Dixon, but to no avail. There's Kobayashi in 3rd position for Mana. Daniel Kadea 4th, Sean Galeo 5th, Jean-Eric Verne 6th, Will Power 7th, Robin Frines, the highest of the Super Aguris, in 8th, Sebastian Bourdais 9th, and Paul de Resta in the 2nd Super Aguri in 10th position. There is Da Costa, showing his class at the present moment. Helio Castroneves, who of course speaks the same language as Da Costa, albeit they are from different countries. One driver's having another good race so far, as Sean Galeo is running there in 5th position, and Da Costa posted another new fastest up of the race, 152.6. This is Jean-Eric Verne lining up a move on Sean Galeo. Didn't quite pay off on that occasion. So whilst one Minardi is in 6th position, the other in the race lead. Minardi failing to come away with anything in Sepang last time out. Looking to put that right here in Yeongam. Well, Da Costa did get the point for the pole position, so at least they are off the mark for the campaign. I'm sure they will want a whole lot more than just the one. Da Costa making his way through the tight twisty bends of this circuit. Castroneves beginning to fall back into the clutches of Kobayashi. And Danny Youngkadea running in P4 for Arrows. His teammate Patro Ward is in 15th position. So it's the Leightonhouse and the Manor making their way through the last section of the lap. And there is Kushner is still in front at the moment. As we see Vern thinking about a move on Galeo, but to no avail. What about Kobayashi with Castroneves? Well, Kobayashi's still behind Castroneves, giving chase. And there's Rio Haryanto in the Midland in place of the suspended Juan Manuel Correa. Correa was suspended for the collision with Colton Herta in Sepang, hence why Haryanto has been given the opportunity to drive. And another driver who is on the sidelines before this race had started was Marco Wittmann for the collision he caused with Kobayashi on the opening lap last time out. And it's Nico Prost who has had to substitute for him for this race. As we see Nicholas Latifi locking up into turn number 4. We're going to get a replay of it. Yeah, he just carried too much speed into the corner by the looks of it. He was able to carry on for now. So whilst Latifi's outside the points at the moment, his Indonesian teammate Sean Galeo is up there in 5th place, having a good run of it so far. Can Manor get their first points of the season today? It's right up behind Castroneves. Looking to make a move. Kobayashi started this race from 5th on the grid. Castroneves started the race 3rd on the grid. Kobayashi into the slipstream alongside the Brazilian. I think we're going to see a change for 2nd position. Kobayashi on the inside, and that is him through into 2nd place, no problem. Castroneves down to 3rd. Don't see too many other changes at the moment. I'll tell you that Nico Prost is having a good race of it. He started towards the back of the grid. I think he started on the 11th row of the grid in 22nd, and he's made his way up into 13th. So he's able to avoid all the chaos that's happened to get himself up there in P13. Prost could do with a strong haul of points here, or points everywhere they can find them, to avoid relegation. But there is the Manor. Miri Kobayashi up to 2nd place. Can he catch Antonio Felix da Costa? Miri Kobayashi, who was the first ever Grand Prix World Series winner, all the way back in Kyalami in Season 1. I don't think he picked up a victory in Season 2, did he? Yes, he did. He won out in Taupo in the first race back then, and nothing had gone right for him ever since. And he also won another race in Season 1. That victory coming... trying to remember as best as I can. I think it might have been Estoril or somewhere like that where Kobayashi had won. Round 5 of the championship. That will be in... is that in Brno where he won? I believe so. No, it was Estoril. I was right, first time. It was Estoril where Kobayashi had won in Season 1. He also won in Kyalami that season, and last season he won in Taupo. So Kobayashi with 3 Grand Prix World Series victories to his name. Scott Dixon is the most successful Grand Prix World Series driver of all time with 5, including victory last time out in Sepang. Kobayashi's pulling away from Castroneves now and closing in on the race leader. I can tell you that Vern is through on Galeo up to 5th place. So he's beginning to make up some ground. He's got another 2.5 seconds to make up on the 4th place driver, Danny Junkadea. Now Junkadea is formerly a Minardi driver who were managed by Alex Goldschmidt. Danny Junkadea doing the best he can to keep them in the division, which is what he did. Minardi are looking to take a step further and maybe challenge towards fighting for the title. And Bourdais is past Power and he's up into 8th position. That's because Power has gone into the pits so early at the end of lap 8. So I wonder if Power's pits up an issue, and I can say that Nico Prost is in, so maybe this might be an early pit stop for both of them, thinking of it. So there's the manner of Kobayashi running in 2nd place. Castroneves in 3rd for Leightonhouse. And we've got Junkadea, Vern, Galeo, Frines, Bourdais, De Resta and Dixon moving into the top 10 now for Simtek. And Chris Cavalier may be happy with Castroneves' performance so far, but in terms of willpower, not quite so. As we see Colton Hurton make a lock up into turn 3. And it won't be too long before willpower and Nico Prost make a move soon. And there is Scott Dixon running in 10th place. Catching Paul De Resta. Closing in on him all the time. Not sure what strategy he is on as we speak. He's closing in on the time on the Scott as Kobayashi continues on in P2. Gap between him and Castroneves is 2.5 seconds. Junkadea 3rd, Vern 4th. I want to go back to see how Scott Dixon is getting on behind Paul De Resta, because that battle was beginning to shape up. And we are seeing De Costa right now. What's the situation with Dixon and De Resta? I don't know for certain. I'd highly doubt that Dixon's made the overtake just yet. And there's Galeo locking up and just about keeping it on the tarmac. Let's see if he keeps going. In 14th place. Behind him, Noinasani is carrying a 10-second time penalty for the collision with Romain Grosjean on the opening lap. Costa holds the fast up of the race at the moment. It'll take something for that to be beaten, whoever that may be. Well, I can say that Kobayashi's heading for the pits now, so he's the first of the leaders to come in to do a 2-stop. I think De Costa is staying out and he looks to be doing the 1-stop. So Kobayashi's going to leave himself with a lot to do between now and the end of the race. Jean-Luc Verne coming in at the same time. Minardi splitting their strategies as far as they are concerned. I can tell you that Kobayashi is coming out of the pits now in front of Nicholas Latifi, and he's down in 12th position. behind Pato O'Ward. Unless Latifi has something to say on that. Goes side by side with the Japanese driver. Is Kobayashi going to have to tuck in for now? I can tell you one driver is not going to be tucking in is Prost. Nico Prost, that is, in the Prost, getting past Tom Cruise up into 23rd place. Just lost the one driver in this one, Alex Lynn, taken out by Will Power at the first turn on the second lap. And Will Power will be carrying a one-race ban into the next race. And it could well be Dario Franchitti filling in for him in a couple of weeks' time. See DaCosta continuing to lead. With Kobayashi pitting though, could he maybe go for an undercut and get ahead of DaCosta for when DaCosta comes into the pits? I think that's something to remain unanswered for now. Castroneves is in second place. Kobayashi will be looking to get in front of Nicholas Latifi very shortly. And there we go, Kobayashi making a move on Latifi now. And he gets through. Next man ahead of him is Pato O'Ward. He's got some ground to make up on him as well. There's Colton Herter. He's only just ahead of Will Power by the looks of things. Young Deo running in P3 for Arrows. Out of these slow corners, pushing as hard as he can before he comes in for a pit stop. Castroneves, second place, 8 seconds off the lead. Don't think there's an awful lot he can do about DaCosta in front. I think the target will be to finish second, given that Kobayashi is probably going to be on a different strategy to what he's going to be doing. There is DaCosta. No sign of slowing down at the moment. Dropped out in the last race due to mechanical gremlins, like what happened to Vern a few laps before. Scott Dixon running in 8th place. Rio Haryanto making a move on Ryan Nissany for 14th. I think we're going to see another replay of the overtake from the Indonesian. Haryanto gets past Ryan Nissany, and that's him through into P14. And Raghunathan comes into the pits for his first stop. It's coming around the left-hander. There's Ryan locking up into Turn 4. He's in front of the manor of Romain Grosjean, of which he came together with on the opening lap. So the pair heading through sector 2. Koshnever's keeps on moving forward, focusing on what's in front of him and not behind. Will Power had a little bit of a lock up there. He is behind one of the Onyx drivers. I think that might be Kazuki Nakajima. And DaCosta continuing out in front. I think Kobayashi's making a move on Pato Ward into turn 1, as is Vern on Grosjean. That's another place gain there for the Frenchman. So Vern is through, no problem. There's Koshnever's. Power's on. Kobayashi's over 2 seconds behind Van Dorn. And Van Dorn is the next driver, which he'll be closing in. Van Dorn hasn't stopped yet in this race. As we see Yunkandaya being followed by Galeo, Frines and Bourdais. All the rest are running in P7. Approaching the end of lap 14 now to Costa. His lead has been stretched to nearly 8.5 seconds. As Nissani slows with an issue as Vern gets past. And I don't think Nissani is circulating round in a very quick machine. I think he's got a problem somehow as Roy Nissani. So he'll be in the pits at the end of this lap. As we watch Will Power tucking in behind Nakajima, who makes a move on Grosjean. And Power nearly getting ahead as well, but has to back out of it. Koshnever's in second place then. Kobayashi's right behind Van Dorn as we watch Colton Herta make a move on Will Power. He's got past him for now, but I think Power will be back for more to complete an overtake of his own. And he's not doing so. So Herta back through again. It won't be too long before we see more of the leaders coming in for pit stops. Kobayashi's right behind Van Dorn in the battle for 10th position. Don't know how long it'll be before they come in for their stops. There's Koshnever's. As we see, Raghunathan running at the back in 24th place. The only one behind him, I think, is Tom Cruise. And Raghunathan, who scored points last time out in Malaysia, like Roy Nissani, is going to find it very difficult to replicate that today, and it most certainly will be for Roy Nissani, who came into the pits with a problem. As we see DaCosta come through sector 2. Looking unbeatable right now. And Kobayashi is through past Stoffel van Dorn is up into 10th place on the track. Well, lap 17 of the race then. Da Costa in the race lead. Castroneves in P2 with Yonkadea 3rd. Gale 4th. And it's Frines, Bourdais, De Resta, Dixon, Sutil and Kobayashi. Kohlerter was leading after the first lap after a storming start, but threw it all away at turn 6 and he fell to the back of the field. I think there'll be some words afterwards from team manager Lewis Passendale. Tom Cruise is running there in 22nd position. It's actually higher up than we were expecting him to be, although Cruise hasn't pitted yet, I don't think. And behind him is Marino Sato, who came into the pits for a new front wing and rear wing, which had set him back. Da Costa is continuing out as we watch Marino Sato attempt to make a move on Tom Cruise, but not quite coming off. And the two Forces at the back with Gunnifin 24th and Asani 25th. Castroneves nearly 10 seconds off the lead. I think if Kobayashi, well, if Castroneves was to pit now, Kobayashi will be in front of him. But Kobayashi will be pitting again before this race is over. And now we're seeing some pit lane activity, and I think that's Robin Frines going for the pits. Unless that's Sebastian Bourdais that's going in. No, it's Frines, and Bourdais in at the same time. Kobayashi will move back up the order. And Verne on the inside of Latifi into turn 1. It looks like Frines is going to be joining 14th position, ahead of Bourdais. Nakajima is lining up a move on his teammate as they go onto the back straight. They are teammates, of course. Ryan Ferris in charge of this team. Nakajima and Bourdais. Neves in second position. And round the last sector of the lap. When will he decide to pit in, I wonder? Will it be at the end of this lap? Don't know for certain yet. As Yonkadea is running in a good P3. Looks like he's going to be pitting in now, and he's going for the one stop. And Castroneves is in from second place. That'll promote Sean Galeo, I should think, unless he's going for the pits, which he is doing so. Paul De Resta will go up to second place for the time being. And Adrian Suter will go up to third. Kobayashi will be back up into fourth place, which means he'll be ahead of Castroneves on the track. But Kobayashi is due to pit in again before this race is over. Now we're seeing a move from Rio Haryanto. And it looks like Nicholas Latifi has got through. And now he's going to be all over the back of the arrows in a moment. So Haryanto having a spirited race so far. And Yeongam, who's just come out of the pits, is about to be overtaken by the Midland. On the inside goes Haryanto. And that's another position gain for the Indonesian. Tell you what, if he comes away out of this with some points, that may give Alex Johnston, the team manager, something to be smiling about, and maybe have a bit of a problem on his hands as to whether he should give Haryanto another go at it next time out in Zental. It is his home round next time out, so could he maybe give him the shot at it? It's Adrian Sutil in third place then in the sole remaining HRT. Kobayashi's another 4 seconds behind. Nearly ran wide there, did the German. Da Costa comes in from the race lead then. Da Costa coming in for his own stop at the end of lap 20. Or 19 rather. What about Paul di Resta? He decides to stay out for now. And Da Costa has rejoined behind him. Is he going to rejoin in front of Sutil as well? It looks like he is. Da Costa rejoins in second position. He's well clear of Kobayashi. Van Dorn coming into the pits as is O'Ward. And Haryanto, who's had a spirited race so far today, is in at the same time. Scott Dixon's running in 15th position for Simtek. Made a lock-up into turn 1. It won't be too long before di Resta comes in for his only stop of the race as Dixon locks up into the first turn and gets away with it. So we are seeing the Super Aguri. I think Marino Sato's come into the pits, which will be his second stop of the race. And that's an overtake there from Kazuki Nakajima on Roy Nasani. That would be for 23rd position. So Da Costa's got the gap down between him and di Resta to 1.3 seconds, but I think di Resta will be at the end, will be in the pits at the end of the sub or at the end of the next one. Just coming round, and there's a problem there for the 40. That is Mahathir Raghunathan, who is slowing down, and it looks like he is out of the race. We're going to go to him. And that's a problem there. He's pulled to the side of the track. And that's only the second retirement of the race so far. Alex Rin retiring on lap 2. And we'll find out what the problem actually is. And it's a puncher for the Indian. So it's not been a good day for 40, I'm afraid. Dave Goddard with one car left in the race. And also carrying a 10-second time penalty for the collision with Roman Grosjean at turn 4. Colton Herter, who's running in 13th position, under threat from Will Power. There's Sutil in 3rd position on track. He's got Kobayashi closing on him. And Tom Cruise coming into the pits for his only stop of the race. In 23rd position. And Da Costa is right behind di Resta now. And Kobayashi's closing in on the trio ahead, and the fact that di Resta is holding up Da Costa is actually helping Kobayashi. close in a little bit more. As we see Scott Dixon, who's having a below par weekend, it has to be said. Off the pace in qualifying. And he's even struggling to make it into the points as we speak. He's going to hope for misfortune of others to help him propel up the order. De Resta is in the pits now from the race lead at the end of lap 21. And Da Costa goes back into the lead again. As we watch Will Power run wide. He's taken out the Simtek of Scott Dixon. Would you believe it? The race winner in Sepang is out of the race. And I have to say, that was really clumsy driving yet again from Will Power. And Scott Dixon, well, history repeats itself between these two, both in real life and in the Grand Prix World Series. We saw them coming together in a similar fashion in Road America recently. And it's almost a carbon copy of it here in Yeongam. And I would imagine the stewards are going to take a good view at that, because that looked completely Will Power's fault. And I would expect the stewards to come out with it, yeah, and it's a one race ban for Will Power to go with what he had done with Alex Lynn to take him out. So Will Power is not only missing the next race in Zental, but he's also out of the next race in Fuji. Bad news there for Will Power and for team manager Chris Kavanagh. And Scott Dixon, well, what must he be thinking? If there was a race for him to retire from, well, this is probably the race to have such an accident like that. But what appalling lot there for Dixon. Didn't do anything wrong. And I think the punishment fits the crime, really. As we watch Adrian Suter lock up, as does Marino Sato into turn 1. So Will Power, not only is going to be dished with a 2-race ban, but he'll also be excluded from the race result for the collisions he has had with Scott Dixon and Alex Lynn. And Da Costa in the race lead on merit. And Adrian Suto continuing to stay out. He's got Kamui Kobayashi closing him down all the time. The gap was 1.1 seconds when they crossed over the line. $19 laps to go. Da Costa looking good for victory. His teammate Jean-Luc Verne is up there in 5th position now. Behind Helio Castroneves. Once Sutil and Kobayashi pits, he'll be up into 3rd place. And Grosjean takes to the pits for the Mana team. As we see Markov under threat from Pato O'Ward. O'Ward is going to make a move on the Formula 2 runner-up of 2017, and he goes to up into 14th position. It would have been 15th, but Grosjean was in the pits whilst that was going on. Sutil under threat from Kobayashi. Kobayashi needs to get past him as soon as he can to make the strategy work. I don't think it'll be too long before Sutil comes into the pits. And now we're seeing Nakajima make a move on Grosjean up the inside into turn 3. And the Japanese driver is ahead of the Frenchman and up to 18th. Sutil running in 2nd. On track anyway. Can he pick up his first points of the season? I can tell you he's heading for the pits at the end of this lap. At the end of lap 23. He's done a stellar job to get himself up there. And he'll fall out the top 10, I think, but no lower than that. So Kobayashi goes through. Castroneves goes through. Verne goes through. Yunkandea goes through. Galeo goes through. Bourdais goes through. Yunkandea runs wide at turn 1, but continues. Fines has gone past Sutil. De Resta has got past Sutil. And I think Sutil should get out in front of Will Power and into 10th place. Kobayashi goes up into second place then. But will he be in second by the end of this one? I can tell you one driver's having a decent race so far of it is Nico Prost in 12th place in a Prost that is well and truly off the pace so far this season. And now we are seeing a move from the manner of Roman Grosjean getting back through ahead of Kazuki Nakajima. Kobayashi running in P2. And Colton Herta looking to get a move on. And that's an issue there for the Onyx. That is Sebastian Bourdais, who is running in a brilliant 6th position. But his drive is going to come to an end. And it's a front suspension failure for the Frenchman. He is the next one to go. What a shame for Ryan Ferris, as his drive was looking on course for points, but it doesn't look like he's going to come away with anything today. He is out and joins Scott Dixon, Matthew Ragunathan and Alex Lynn on the sidelines. That's the 4th driver to retire from this League One race here in Yeongam. And Jean-Luc Vergne is in the pits for his 2nd stop. Fall out of the top 10. He'll probably rejoin in front of Nico Prost in 10th place. So Vergne has rejoined in front of Stoffel van Dorn now, and he's in 9th position, so he's got some clear track ahead of him. He can start making up ground. He's behind Sutil, who's done his last start. So if he's going to pass it, if he's going to pass the German, he needs to do it on the track. Nakajima under threat from Colton Herta, and that's an overtake there from the American. So he's got past, no problem. And Kobayashi is over 6 seconds off the lead of Da Costa as Markov gets overtaken by what looks like Marino Sato, making up for lost time. There is Castroneves in 3rd place, but it'll be 2nd once Kobayashi comes in again for another pit stop. Castroneves will go to the end. So Vergne's a long way back from Sutil. Kobayashi comes in for his final pit stop from P2. He'll go behind Adrian Sutil, but he won't now because Sutil is off the track and the 2nd HRT has retired. Adrian Sutil is out of the Yeongam Grand Prix. A loose wheel is the cause, and John Monroe is not going to be leaving South Korea with any points. What a shame for Sutil, who'd been running so well up until that point, but it's the end of the road for him. There is Da Costa, ahead of Castroneves, ahead of Yunkadea. Galeo 4th, running really well, as are the 2 Super Guris of Frines and De Resta. Kobayashi is in 7th place now, ahead of Vergne. So Kobayashi's got some work to do if he's to get to the podium at this rate. But he's got 16 laps to do it, which is enough time, but not a lot of time. Tell you, Rio Haryanto is doing a good job in the Midlands in 11th place. Ahead of him, he's ahead of Latifi, he's ahead of Will Power, who is currently excluded from the results now because of the collisions with Lynn and Dixon. Grosjean 14th for Manor and Hertz 15th in the AGS. Twelve and a half seconds is the margin between Da Costa and Castroneves. Yunkadea 3rd for Arrows. on course for his first podium in the Grand Prix World Series is Danny Yunkandaya. Yunkandaya's best finish in the Grand Prix World Series has been 5th on a couple of occasions. The first in Brno and the other being at Laguna Seca for Minardi. And he's about to pick up his first podium, this time for Arrows, whilst his former team are on course for their first win. The last victory that Minardi had picked up, and that sounds like Kobayashi in trouble. Yes, it is! Kobayashi out of the race for Mana. What a shame for him. It wasn't long after his pit stop, and Kobayashi's 7th position, if not higher, is gone. And it's transmission failure for the Japanese pilot. And it looks like Mana are going to be leaving Yeongam with no points to their name. No points after 2 races for Sam Hall's team. Go back to what I was saying about the Minardi team. Their last victory in the Grand Prix World Series, you have to go all the way back to season 1, where Marc Genet won out in Taupo. Antonio Felix da Costa is 14 laps away from ending that drought for the team. He's already won in the Grand Prix World Series before, has da Costa, with Super Aguri, and that was in Hockenheim last season. As we see the second Onyx of Nakajima come to a slow down, and it looks like he is going to be joining his teammate Sebastian Bourdais on the sidelines. It's been a terrible day for Ryan Ferris' team. Nakajima pulls to the side, and he is out of the race. No question. And it's a transmission problem on that car. And, well, I think Ryan Ferris has got a lot of work to do now between here and Zentel. And, of course, for the season as well. They're not showing their class that they had proven last season with the consistency that they had. As we watch, well, it looks like Stoffel van Dorn. Is that... No, it's not. It's Nico Prost getting ahead of Roy Nissany. So Prost is through him to 15th position on track. But yeah, Onyx have got some work to do. I'm looking at where they ended up in Sepang overall. Bourdais picked up a point, whilst Nakajima, looking at where he finished, I don't think he scored any points in that race. Unless I'm mistaken. Now, Onyx, Nakajima finished 5th in Sepang, my apologies. So they're not going to be getting any points this time though, or Onyx. So they're probably going to end up moving down in the team's championship after this race. Arrows look like they're going to be scoring big. Midland have got Harrianto in the points at the moment. Minardi are on course for a good haul of points too. As we see Yunkandaya in P3 being chased by Sean Galeau. And behind him are the 2 Super Aguris of Robin Freins and Paul di Resta. And Jean-Luc Verne, who's on the fresher tyres now, is up into 7th place. Van Don 8th. That'll be some reprieve for Scott Woodwis, whose team are having an off day, it has to be said, by their standards. Castroneves on course for a solid 2nd place finish. Didn't finish the first race in Sepang. Could this kick off Helio Castroneves' cycle charge, given that Scott Dixon is not going to be scoring points today? Neither is Will Power. And I will say that Paul di Resta will move level on... Well, he's not going to move level on points with Dixon, but he'll close in as well. Sean Galeo will move on to 24 points as well. He'll move in front of Willpower. And the championships begins to shape up by the looks of it. DaCosta will move on to 25 points plus the 1 for the fastest lap and the point for pole position. So it looks like he's going to be moving level on points with Scott Dixon at the top. It's going to be very, very close, this championship battle, there's no question. Young looking good for a podium in 3rd place. In regards to the team's championship, well, Simtek, who look like they're going to come away with 4 points because of Van Dorn's 8th position. That will not be enough to see them still in the lead, because Leighton House will be getting 18 points for 2nd, which will move on to 36. Super Aguri, who've got the 2 drivers in 5th and 6th, they'll be collecting 18 points, will move on to 33, and they'll move in front of Simtek too. BAR with Sean Galeo in 4th place. They'll be collecting 12 points and move on to 24. And Minardi, well, with a race win, pole position and fastest lap, along with the 7th place finish where Jean-Luc Verne is sitting right now, they'll be going on to 33 points ahead of Simtek. And that is becoming an increasingly titanic battle as we speak. There's, of course, a long way to go yet in the season. And a lot of new venues to look forward to in the Grand Prix World Series. So do make sure you keep right up to date with all the action that is going on. And you can do so by joining the Discord channel. That is the Retro Racing Managers League. Downforce Radio. See, we saw Helio Customers go through turn 3. Those Young Daya with Galeo still behind him, as far as we know. And looks to be settling down now is the field. So far, we've lost Alex Lynn, we've lost Mahathir Raghunathan, we've lost Scott Dixon. We've also lost Sebastian Bourdais. We've also lost Kamui Kobayashi, and we've lost Kazuki Nakajima. I think that's all the retirements so far as I can remember. There is Roy Nisani, who's carrying a 10-second time penalty as it stands, who'll be dropping behind Marino Sato and Artem Markelov. Adrian Sutil also retired, for your information. So both of the HRTs out of the race, both the Onyx drivers out of the race. Kamui Kobayashi's Mana. Mahathir Raghunathan's 40. And the other driver we've lost in the race. So both Onyxes, both HRTs, Mahathir Raghunathan's 40, Kamui Kobayashi's Mana, and Scott Dixon's Simtek. So 7 drivers we've lost from the race so far. 10 laps to go. Antonio Fitzacosta leads by 15 seconds over Helio Castroneves. DaCosta on course for his 2nd Grand Prix World Series win. And Minardi's first since Taupo in Season 1, courtesy of Mark Genet. Willpower carrying a disqualification over him and a 2-race ban. Subject to appeal, of course. But I think given the collisions that he has caused, I doubt that the one with Dixon will be overturned. Could be a question mark in terms of the one with Alex Lynn. As we watch Roy Nissany about to be overtaken by Marino Sato. Makes a move up the inside, goes the Japanese driver. And Nissany's been overtaken. I don't think it'll be too long before Artem Markelov gets close enough. If Da Costa was to have a problem and pitted now, he would rejoin no lower than 4th. But at least he would be on fresher tyres and still be able to go and challenge for a podium at least. He's not thinking about that right now. His focus is on making sure he gets to the checker flag without any problems as he goes up to lap the AGS of Tom Cruise. Now, Tom Cruise once again off the pace today. Lewis Passengers will be saying afterwards. As we see Yeongam Daya come through turns 1 and 2 in 3rd position. Be a great result for Sean Galeo. It'll bring Indonesia hearts together, and especially with Rio Haryanto, believe it or not, in 10th position. So 2 Indonesian drivers are going to be on course to finish in the top 10 as it stands. As we see Roy Nissany about to be overtaken now by Artem Markelov. And the next man behind Nissany is Tom Cruise, who's already a lap down. Talking of which, I think Roy Nissany could find himself a lap down because he's almost a lap behind the leader, thinking of it. There's Castroneves dropping even further back from Da Costa now. He's settling for 2nd place, no question. Barring any mechanical gremlins from here on in. Yeongam Daya, 3rd place in the Arrows. Be a fantastic result for Topher Smith. Switching over from Super Aguri last season to manage this team, and he's about to pick up the first podium as the Arrows team manager, courtesy of Yeongam Daya. As we watch Nicholas Latifi under threat from Will Power. Castroneves carrying on as he's doing. Da Costa looking increasingly good at the head of the pack. 7 laps to go. Castroneves doing a fine job in the Leighton House in 2nd, Yeongam Daya 3rd, Galeo on course to make it 2 4th place finishes in a row. There's Castroneves running in 2nd position, still going. Leighton House picks up a 2nd place finish courtesy of Will Power in Sepang. This time it's going to end up being Castroneves getting the podium out of here. But his teammate for the next couple of races is not going to be Will Power. It's likely to be Dario Franchitti. There is Yeongam ahead of Galeao. And we can see a problem there for Willpower. Well, it's been a rocky race for him, and the problem that he's just had puts the kibosh on it. So it's au revoir to the race for Willpower, and it's au revoir for the next couple of rounds too. So he is gone, and the reason for it is a broken transmission for the Australian. And Marino Sarso is just going through at the moment into 15th position. So that promotes Grosjean up to 12th. Colton Herton up to 13th place behind the Frenchman. That battle could take place very shortly. See Castroneves running in P2 right now, as we see Robin Frines lock up there, and that's allowed the rest to close in a little bit on the Dutchman. Six laps to go. Michael Gillespie's drivers just need to keep it together from here on in. And Vern's not too far back. He's only 5 seconds off them. And he'll be fancying his chances in the final few laps or so. Da Costa, meanwhile, continuing on. Just like the one driver in this race, which is Tom Cairns. The next man ahead of Da Costa will be Roy Nissany to lap. Neves in P2. Really nice camera angle this. As we see Yeongam in 3rd position, still ahead of Sean Galeao. I think in terms of the pit strategy, I think the one stop has played out better than the 2-stop for in Sepang, and definitely so in Yeongam. The question of what will Senthil bring for the drivers when they go there for the first time. Well, there is Da Costa, 5 laps away from victory now. In bends. So there's your 3rd and 4th place drivers with the 2 Super Aguris in the background. It won't be too long before Vern catches up to them. And here is Da Costa, who came close to a victory at Imola as well last season before his engine blew in the final stages. He's got to hope that that kind of luck doesn't strike him again. This time in a Minardi. As we see Castroneves again coming through. And now we switch over to Di Resta. Third in Sepang, 6th here in Yeongam. Not a bad start to the season, it has to be said for him. but it's not sealed just yet. Verne is less than 4 seconds behind the Scot. Oh no, that's Sean Galeo! I don't believe it! That's the BAR! Sean Galeo, who was trying to get 4th place, has pulled off! 4 laps remaining from the end. BAR are down to 1 car and they've lost 4th place. They cannot believe it. Sean Galeo's race is done. Disappointment for Will Power. Unbelievable luck. That promotes Friends up to 4th, DeResta up to 5th, Fern up to 6th, with Van Don, O'Ward, Harrianto and Latifi in the top 10 now. And now we see an overtake from Colton Herter on the inside of Roman Grosjean to go up into 11th position. So it's just going to be the one Indonesian driver picking up points today. Sean Galeo is picking up nothing. He'll still be classified as a finisher because he's completed enough laps. But this is not the result he had hoped for by any means. As Grosjean gets up the inside of Herter, he's got back through again. And if this could be an interesting battle between these two, because if one more car drops out ahead of him, they could end up scoring a point out of this after all. What must Will Knight be thinking right now? At least he's got Nicholas Latifi in the top 10, in 10th place, but yeah, he really wanted 4th place for sure. Not good. Nico Prost up to 13th, Reno Sato up to 14th, Artem Markov now 15th. And Castroneves is coming up to lap Tom Cruise. And Cruise will be hoping that Castroneves will be the last car that'll lap in between now and the end of the race. He's just not had the pace, has he? And Costa is almost coming round to lap Ryan Nassani in the 40. And now we see the battle between Herter and Grosjean pots up again. Herter up the inside, and that is a clean overtake there from the American to put himself up to 11th place again. There's no way he'll catch Latifi, so he's going to have to hope for misfortune hitting others between now and the checker flag. Costa has started the penultimate lap of the race now. Jean-Eric Verne is only a couple of seconds behind DeResta in the fight for 5th place, as Castroneves is struggling to lap Tom Cruise into turn 1. And Yakundaya running in P3. Castroneves still behind Cruise as he comes up to lap him now. He should do in a moment. Cruise has been ahead of Castroneves for a whole lap now. I'm surprised he hasn't let him by. And it's not making it easy for the Leighton house. And I wonder what the stewards may say on that, because it looks like he held him up for a long time. There is your race leader in your picture. Antonio Felix da Costa is about to start the final lap of the race. Castroneves is on course to pick up another podium finish. he does that, it'll be the 7th podium of his career. Six podiums last season. See, Da Costa is coming up behind Ryan Nissany now. It's been a comfortable race. This is for Da Costa. And the Minardi team, Giacomo Pagliaro, will be over the moon. Some recompense for the disappointment in Malaysia. And this will be the team's first victory since Taupo 2 seasons ago. We'll go back to the leader then, as Da Costa is about to complete the final lap, providing he doesn't trip over Roy Nissany. It's been a brilliant race from the Portuguese driver. Pole position, he was on fire as we saw it. Roy Nissany nearly taking him out there, almost right at the end, but doesn't make contact with Da Costa anyway. The Minardi driver coming round the last couple of corners. Antonio Felix Da Costa picks up his second Grand Prix World Series win. He wins the League One race. He wins the Yeongam Grand Prix. What a dominant performance. And could that set the tone for what's to come later in the campaign? Hideo Castroneves is going to cross over the line in second place for Leighton House. 2 podiums out of 2 for Chris Cavani. But Will Power's race ban is going to be one of the talking points afterwards. And it's the first podium for Danny Juncadella. But whilst we go to that, Nico Prost has retired on the last lap from 15th position. He'll be classified as a finisher. He'll drop 1 place. Oh no, he won't drop any places because Roy Nissany's already crossed the line. So Prost will actually keep hold of his 15th place even though he doesn't take the checkered flag. Danny Juncadella picks up his first Grand Prix World Series podium in 3rd. The two Super Aguri's, Linus Stern in 4th and 5th. Jean-Eric Vergne picks up his first points of the season in 6th place. A good effort by him. And then we go to Stoffel van Dorn, who will pick up some useful points for Simtek. It's been a wretched day for them, over a minute behind the race winner. Van Dorn will be 7th, Patrick Award 8th, Rio Haryanto picking up points on debut in 9th place, and Nicholas Latifi gets his first Grand Prix World Series point in 10th position. Colton Herta will be 11th, followed by Roman Grosjean, Marino Sato, and Artem Markelov will be the last of those on the lead lap. Nico Prost will be classified in 15th, Roy Nissany 16th, Tom Cruise will be 17th, and Sean Gelael will be classified in 18th position. But here's your race winner. It is Antonio Felix Da Costa for Minardi in Yeongam. Castroneves finishes second over Juncadella, then it's the 2 Super Aguri's in 4th and 5th. Jean-Eric Vergne in 6th for Minardi. Van Dorn, O'Ward, Haryanto and Latifi completing the point scorers. Colton Herta was 11th, followed by Roman Grosjean, Marino Sato, Artem Markelov in 12th, 13th, 14th places. Nico Prost in 15th. Roy Nissany 16th under Tom Cruise and Sean Gelael in the classified finishes. Will Power retired and carrying a 2-race ban, as is Kazuki Nakajima. Well, Kazuki Nakajima failed to finish, I should say. He's not getting a race ban by any means. We've also lost Adrian Sutil, Sebastian Bourdais, Scott Dixon famously as well, Mahavira Gunnathan and Alex Lynn. It's been a brilliant race. The next round in Sentul, a new venue for the Grand Prix World Series. Could it be a belter? Well, you know where to tune in.
A race full of drama and controversy, and in the end dominated by Antonio Felix Da Costa in the Minardi, picking up the team's second ever Grand Prix World Series victory and the Portuguese driver's second also. What a drive that was by Antonio Felix Da Costa. He now moves into joint first in the championship. Scott Dixon not picking up any points today after his crash with Will Power earlier on, both equal on 27 points. And Paul Di Resta hanging on to third in the championship ahead of Will Power, Hideo Castroneves, Danny Yonkandea, Sean Galale, Robin Frines, Pato Award and Kazuki Nakajima. That is your top 10 in the League One driver standings. And in the teams championship, Super Aguri, by virtue of their consistent point scoring, are leading the way on 37 points, only one ahead of Leighton House, also scoring consistently despite Will Power having a bit of a nightmare today. Minardi third on 35 points, ahead of Simtek on 33, only 4 points covering the top 4 in the championship. That is ultra close even for this stage of the championship. Arrows fifth on 27, ahead of BAR with 13. Onyx Grand Prix are on 11, ahead of HRT, 40 Corsi and Midland Racing on 2 there. It's been a fascinating day of action within the Grand Prix World Series. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Tom Cairns for his commentary, and we hope to see you next time. Take care.